We're finally going to record a take here with Taking Woodstock. Hey guys, back again to go through my drama movie collection, and this should be the fourth and final one, I'm hoping, for dramas, so we are just going to kick it off straight away and power through. But the first movie actually is Taking Woodstock, directed by Ang Lee. This is another one that I haven't seen. It sounds really cool. It's about like a youth whose parents own a motel, and he allows, I think, the organisers of the Woodstock 1969 Music Festival to come and stay at the hotel. And there's actually a pretty interesting cast of actors in this. I'm a bit confused by the actual copy I have here, because it says Blu-ray disc converted, which I don't know what that means. Was it a DVD that was converted to a Blu-ray, or was it a Blu-ray that's now converted to a DVD? It's in a DVD case, so I just don't know. I'll just find it out when I put it in. Milk, which I saw a long time ago, and I remember being really good. I actually would like to rewatch it. There's Sean Penn, who's really good in this, and it's about the first openly gay man to sort of get into politics and be elected to represent a state in America. It's a period piece, and it has some other really good actors in it. Josh Brolin, James Franco. Bombshell, which is a pretty scandalous movie about a Fox News related scandal where the president of Fox News, I believe his name was Roger Ailes. Let me just check that. It is. It's about Roger Ailes, who is a former Fox News president who committed some pretty heinous acts of sexual harassment against many of the female employees at Fox News in a certain period in history. Charlize Theron plays a real-life news reporter in this. Promising Young Woman, probably my favourite movie by director Emerald Fennell. This is a pretty confronting look at sexual harassment and date rape and toxic masculinity and that kind of thing from the perspective of a woman. Anora, Best Picture winner from a couple of years ago. This is a pretty gritty look at sex work. The main character, Anora, is a stripper and escort who meets a young Russian sort of son of very, very rich people, and they sort of fall in love, but then things go a bit off the rails. This is a panic-inducing, anxiety attack type of film, but it's pretty good. Starlet, from the same director as Anora, another movie where that director tackles sex work. This is about a porn star who does a lot of like camming online, and she meets a very elderly woman at a garage sale, I believe, and they fall in love. Hey guys, just wanted to clarify here in the editing process that the two central characters in Starlet, the porn star and the older woman, do not fall in love. They just become very good friends. It's not a partnership, it's just a friendship. I didn't want to mislead people. It's not that there's anything wrong with two central characters falling in love in a film like this, but it's not what happens in this film, and I didn't want to mislead people in any way or give them false expectations. And this is actually a really heartwarming story. Anora is much more intense. It's also more of a comedy. There's a lot more comedy in this. This is a very serious drama. There's not really any jokes in this one, but it's a very heartfelt film, actually. Hustlers, and we're going through a lot of movies now. This is a subsection of dramas sort of about sex work and the sex industry. So this is about a group of strippers who would sort of give men like knockout drugs in their drink and steal their money working in the clubs. And so it's almost like a American Animals-esque sort of heist crime film, but it's mostly, from having seen it, it's more of a drama about the strippers and their camaraderie and the way they actually do take advantage of some of the richer men who come into the establishment. Showgirls, this is a pretty infamous movie directed by Paul Verhoeven, and I saw this not long ago. It's very perverted, but it's one of those things where it's a very interesting look at a certain time and point in history from a certain creative vision at that time. This is from the director of like RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, a couple of other like famous sci-fi films too. So, but this is a change of pace for him to explore a darker, maybe seedier, some might say, underbelly of Las Vegas culture. Striptease, this is starring Demi Moore. This is one that I have not seen. I don't actually know a whole lot about it. I look forward to checking it out, but it's a pretty infamous movie, I think, about strippers, similar to Showgirls, came out about the same time. The Bling Ring, this is a movie from Sofia Coppola that I saw a long time ago. It's about like a group of young people who rob rich people's houses by way of kind of sneaking in. They're not violent or anything, but I think they might have posed as house workers, like cleaners and the sort. This has Emma Watson in it. I remember this being a pretty good social commentary on consumer culture and young people sort of being obsessed with material things. Delirious. This is a movie I virtually know nothing about. It has some good actors, Steve Buscemi and some others. It's about a photographer and a young homeless man that get caught up in maybe some business dealings gone wrong. I think it's probably going to be pretty dark. But maybe almost a bit comedic. It looks a bit raunchy too. Youth. I've seen this a couple of times with Michael Caine and Harvey Keitel. This is a interesting drama about aging and about the want to sort of do the things you're used to doing when you're a bit younger. It's set in Switzerland, beautiful photography, interesting editing. This is, yeah, a pretty strange sort of cool movie. Clouds of Sils Maria with Kristen Stewart, a great actress who, I think this is from the director of a movie I saw but didn't love called Personal Shopper, which is a bit of a kind of a horror drama but very slow paced and strange. Not your average horror film at all, more of an art film. Some might say pretentious. They might throw that word at Personal Shopper, but we'll see what this is like. I think this is more of a human drama. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This is one of my favourite movies from last year. Rose Byrne is incredible in this. This is pretty fresh in my mind too. Interesting casting choices of Conan O'Brien and A$AP Rocky to be in this too, but this is a drama about a woman down on her luck, really downtrodden by life's challenges and difficulties and raising a daughter who's very sick, but the stress of it almost has like a cosmic sort of vibe to it. Like there's something about the universe is like just has it in for Rose Byrne's character, and her troubles might be sort of being amplified all throughout the world in a cosmic sense. But this is a strange movie. It's just really good, gritty, anxiety-inducing too, a bit like Anora. So yeah, be warned, it's a bit full on, but this is, I really loved this movie. Birdman, another Best Picture winner, and we're going to get into some weird, surreal dramas, a bit like If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is a bit like that, but this one Best Picture about 12 years ago now. Michael Keaton was good in it. I remember the movie being a little bit pretentious in the way of maybe it's better if you're really into theatre. But the cinematography I remember being good. I just didn't really get into the characters of this movie, but I need to check it out again. A Different Man. This is a really great weird movie from a couple of years ago. Sebastian Stan, one of the most underrated, like brilliant actors of his generation. I've seen him in so many good things, but this is about also about theatre in a way, but really accessible. It's about a theatre actor and another theatre actor who's really deformed, played by an actor, Adam Pearson, who has some a very interesting kind of look about him. He has some facial disabilities, shall we say. Her, sort of a social commentary, sci-fi drama, sort of I guess dark comedy too, like sort of quirky, subtle dark comedy set in the future with Joaquin Phoenix giving another strange sort of performance where he falls in love with an AI. So this would be super interesting to check out in today's day and age. This came out almost about 15 years ago or something, but it's very much about AI in terms of relationships. So maybe this should belong in the sci-fi genre. But Her, I remember being pretty interesting. Under the Silver Lake, I thought this was a really fun movie with Andrew Garfield about a guy who goes on a bit of an odyssey, thinks the whole world's a weird conspiracy, decides to follow people and look into their lives in ways that are a bit inappropriate, but what he uncovers is some really, really strange, unreal, almost science fiction, fantasy-esque stuff. This almost could belong either in drama or thriller or comedy. It borrows ideas from David Lynch, but I remember it being just a really fun, weird odyssey type movie. Dear Wendy, I don't know a whole lot about this, but it's from a great, really bleak, dark director that I like called Lars von Trier, who's done some foreign movies and some English language movies. Nymphomaniac, Antichrist, some really, really strange out there full-on movies, but Dear Wendy has a really interesting cast too. I think this So Lars von Trier sort of helped to pioneer a subgenre of film called Dogma 95, which is shooting movies using no props, no production design, no set design, no scenery. Just imagine an empty warehouse with nothing on the floor and actors kind of acting as though they are living lives like in houses or at the workplace, but using absolutely nothing to show that, only the actors and how they act and what they tell you. And Dear Wendy might be a little bit in that vein, I'm not too sure, but look into Dogma 95, what that means. It's a pretty interesting subset of movies. Daddy Longlegs, I believe this is like a father-son relationship story directed by the Safdie brothers, who are known for doing some really, really intense, anxiety-inducing movies. They did Uncut Gems, Good Time, Marty Supreme from last year, so this could be interesting. It could either be really intense or just a human drama about a father and son. Happiness. I've not seen this, but I've heard about it and I've seen a couple of clips, and I know enough to know that it is a really fucked up movie. It has Philip Seymour Hoffman in it. It looks really sad and deranged and depressing, but also kind of hilarious is what I've heard. Like, it's a bit of a dark comedy, but I've got it in drama for now. I'll see when I see it whether it should maybe be in dark, weird comedy or drama. I believe it's about a series or group of people with severe mental issues, and they might be unbeknownst to one another. But yeah, it's kind of an ensemble piece. Synecdoche in New York, another weird Philip Seymour Hoffman movie, which I think is directed by Charlie Kaufman, yes. This is about a theatre director trying to put together a play that just seems to seemingly take years and years and years and decades to finally get finished. It's just too ambitious, and it just chews away at Philip Seymour Hoffman's whole life and world. The Tree of Life, another really weird cosmic type of movie that's partly about evolution and partly about just raising a family and being a father in the 1950s. It starts off with dinosaurs in the prehistoric era and other such evolutions such as the Big Bang. This is one of the most beautifully shot movies that's ever been made. It's directed by Terrence Malick. Cinematography is by Emmanuel Lubezki, who is just a master at just crafting shots that you both think would be really amazing as a portrait, and also like you wonder how the hell he filmed that. And you're kind of in awe of the innovation of how he thinks to sort of shoot certain things. It's a beautiful movie. It is slow and long. It's not conventional. It doesn't have a conventional story, but it's visually stunning. Heavenly Creatures, Peter Jackson movie, who obviously has a really weird career. New Zealand filmmaker, started off doing splat stick, moved into this sort of thing, and then went on to do The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and King Kong. Obviously a master craftsman, there's no doubting that. But I haven't seen this, I look forward to checking it out. I've heard, I think, mixed things, but we'll see. About Schmidt, which could be mildly similar to Heavenly Creatures. This stars Jack Nicholson. I think I've seen part of this like a long time ago, and I thought it was a little boring. Great director though, Alexander Payne. I'll have to check it out again someday. It's just about an old man living in small town America. And The Pledge, which I believe is a war movie. I don't know a lot about that, but it has Jack Nicholson as well. So it's a Jack Nicholson double feature DVD here of two movies that share no similarities whatsoever. But The Pledge could be a pretty intense war-related drama. Another more intense drama, The Machinist with Christian Bale, could be more of a thriller, conspiracy thriller. If you look up pictures of Christian Bale in this movie, he is anorexic as hell. He just looks unhealthily skinny. He looks on the verge of death. He plays like a steel mill operator who gets caught up in a web of creepy conspiracies. It's really good the way it's acted and told and stuff. Yeah, intense drama thriller, The Machinist, and Christian Bale's body transformation is just the most insane, and by the looks of it, dangerous that it's ever been in any other film. Brick, directed by Rian Johnson, the director of Knives Out, and this is also sort of a mystery thriller, film noir-esque movie, but set at a high school. So all the main characters are just high school students trying to figure out an actual murder. Somebody did get murdered, so it's not sort of a film noir thriller about like tracking down homework or something. It's about some real crime that happens, but it's like no other in that, yeah, it's high school aged kids. That's almost like a Nickelodeon type movie show premise, but I believe it's a bit more serious than that. I don't think it's too much of a comedy, but in an ironic sense that some of this does sound a bit funny. Blow with Johnny Depp. This is a drug dealing movie. He plays a rising drug kingpin, starts off in the marijuana business, I think ends up in cocaine business, but this is more of a light-hearted movie from memory. It's sort of a bit less like it's not Scarface, but it is sort of still a crime drama, and but sort of has a light-hearted edge about a drug dealer. Mr. Nice, don't know a lot about this. It's another drug dealing movie, I believe, in the marijuana trade. It has Rhys Ifans. I really like him, so I think this is a bit of a more comedic version maybe to Blow or to Scarface. War Dogs. I find this movie very entertaining, from Todd Phillips, the director of The Hangover and Joker, but this is about two young guys who sort of finagle their way into the business of arms dealing. So it's another illegal dealing movie, a bit like those drug dealing movies we just went through. But War Dogs, Jonah Hill, Miles Teller, they have sort of good chemistry. It's sort of a dark comedy, but also a good drama too. Dallas Buyers Club, one of the great Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto performances. I liked this movie. I thought it was interesting look in America and the AIDS crisis, and sort of, yeah, being sick with a disease that you're maybe in denial about, but trying to just live your life in that kind of setting, I suppose. Wild, from the director of Dallas Buyers Club, Jean-Marc Vallée. This is also a good movie starring Reese Witherspoon, about a woman who really loves the outdoors and hiking and adventure, but it sort of turns into a survival film. Into the Wild. This is probably one of my favourite movies, directed by Sean Penn, about a young college guy who wants to go live off the land, live in a van, and just be one with nature. Really interesting cast of supporting characters in this. It's quite epic. It's really, really sad, so be warned, but Into the Wild is a beautiful movie about just living life to the extreme, I suppose. And Eddie Vedder, from, is it Soundgarden? Is he from Soundgarden? Eddie Vedder, Soundgarden. No, he's from Pearl Jam, not Soundgarden. I got that wrong, but he does really great music in this movie, Into the Wild. I would really recommend checking this out. 127 Hours, another one of my favourite survival movies starring James Franco. This, I don't know if I like this better. This might be about on par with Into the Wild, but this is an amazing movie directed by Danny Boyle, who adds so much panache to this movie about a guy with his arm trapped in a rock. Also has a bit of a sad element to it, so be warned if you haven't seen this and don't know much about it, but this is a wonderful sort of outdoor survival movie too. And we're going through a lot of survival movies now, and sort of natural disaster and adventure movies we're going to be getting into too. The Beach, also directed by Danny Boyle with Leonardo DiCaprio, about a guy who goes on a retreat to an incredible beach, I think in Indonesia. The Beach, Indonesia. Nope, wrong again. It's in Thailand. So this is Leonardo DiCaprio in Thailand with a tribe of people just living off the land, enjoying the challenge of nature and living their life that way rather than material possessions and big houses. They just go with the incredible environment in Thailand. Life of Pi, one of the great 3D adventure movies. This is a stunningly beautiful adventure movie about a guy trapped at sea with a tiger. Incredible CGI. This is a really beautiful movie directed by Ang Lee. It's just a lot of epic fun. Open Water, a shark survival movie, seems a bit less like a horror movie in the way of Jaws, and a bit more like a survival thriller drama, so arguably could belong in some other genres on this shelf, but I've got it here because it seems sort of more like a serious drama survival movie. And it has a sequel called Open Water 2 Adrift. This is alternately titled in some different countries, but I believe it's maybe probably more of the same. We'll see what it's like. I haven't seen either of these movies. All Is Lost, ocean survival film that I really want to see with Robert Redford, who died quite recently. Rest in peace. But this is about a guy on a yacht or sailboat just braving some insane storms and weather on the open sea and surviving that all on his own. Everest, any movie where you climb Mount Everest is inherently a survival film in my books. This has a really good cast and is pretty intense. So Everest I remember really liking if you're looking for like a naturistic survival movie about mountain climbing. The Impossible with Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts about a tsunami in Thailand which washes away an entire village, and this family just have to try and survive while they're trying to enjoy their holiday. This has a very, very early kid performance from Tom Holland in it, who is now obviously a huge actor. He's Spider-Man. So The Impossible I remember quite enjoying. Apollo 13, getting into space survival now. This is a Ron Howard classic with Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Ed Harris. Yeah, this is just a good, solid, trying to survive with a group of people in space and limited resources type of movie. The Right Stuff, haven't seen it, but I know it's about astronomers going into space, maybe for the first time ever. I believe it is a period piece, but I look forward to checking this out on Blu-ray. Castaway, here we have probably my favourite survival movie there is. Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks. It's about living on your own on an island, trying to make the most of all these FedEx packages that have washed up ashore with his plane that went down. And as well as sort of making use of all the resources on the island. This is a great... some people have described this movie as peaceful, and I sort of agree with that. Like, it's just Tom Hanks alone on a beach trying to like live his life for 4 years. Very emotional. He makes friends with a volleyball. Beautiful film. If you have not seen Castaway, get on this. Catch Me If You Can, another Tom Hanks movie, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Just a great movie about like conning people. It's fast-paced, it's peppy. Leonardo DiCaprio plays such a plucky young character who just fools everyone. This is directed by Spielberg too. It's a lot of fun. Forrest Gump, I'm not the hugest fan of in the world, but I like the variety and sort of sense of adventure that's in this movie. It goes through a lot of events in history. It's also like the fast-pacedness of Catch Me If You Can. This is, yeah, it's another fun movie to me, but not like one of the greatest movies of the 90s or anything. The Walk, Robert Zemeckis again. This is about a real-life French tightrope walker, Philippe Petit, who famously walked a tightrope between the two twin towers when they were still up. And this has a lot of funny storytelling techniques and editing techniques, and it's quite stylized. This was also a big 3D movie when it came out, but it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. This movie is a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's a good look at history. Welcome to Marwen, Robert Zemeckis again, working with Steve Carell here to produce this sort of adventure comedy drama. Mostly a drama, I would say, but it has a really interesting sense of visual CGI and animated storytelling, because the main character creates these little villages out of dolls, and so the movie will be live action in parts, but then it'll sort of cut to the main character's creation and creative endeavor, creating these cities and movies using little dolls and animations. And it has a really, I thought it was a pretty cool visual style in many senses. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, directed by Ben Stiller, another adventure movie, about sort of a fantasy movie, but I would probably categorize this as mostly drama. It's very emotional. It's about traveling around, and this was just a fun adventure movie. The Life of Chuck, and I always for some reason nearly call this The Secret Life of Us, which is an Australian like soap opera, I think, from many years ago, but this is directed by a guy named Mike Flanagan, who's primarily known as a horror auteur. He's directed a movie called Hush. He directed many Netflix horror shows, The Haunting of Hill House and things like that. This is based on a Stephen King short story, but more of a drama movie than anything to do with horror. I look forward to seeing it. It could be good. Came out just a few years ago. Lion, this is a really, really good Australian-Indian co-production, sort of an adventure drama about a young Indian boy who runs away and gets lost sort of from his family at a very young age in the very chaotic country of India, and is then adopted by a white family from Tasmania, Australia. So he goes to live there, but then many years later, as a young man played by Dev Patel, wants to go back to India and try and figure out where his birth family came from. And it's based on a true story. This is an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, Lion is beautiful. It's a bit Spielbergian, I would say. The Rocket, I haven't seen this. I believe it's set in Laos, and it's about a little boy who maybe joins like a rocket competition festival where you build rockets, I think. But yeah, this could be quite a fun, uplifting foreign film. Walkabout, famous Australian movie from the 70s about Aboriginal culture. I believe it's about two white British children, very young, who get lost in the Australian outback and are sort of taken in and looked after by the First Nations people, the Aborigines, and yeah, living out there with them for a while. 10 Canoes, directed by a very famous Australian director, really talented and versatile guy, Rolf de Heer. This is also about First Nations culture. It's about living off the land, living old style in Aboriginal culture in Australia. Rabbit Proof Fence, another Aboriginal related movie about the stolen generation. You know, a whole generation of children stolen out of their homes from local government schools, I think, many years ago in Australia. This might have been a movie that's played a lot in English class, so if you're of a certain generation, maybe this played in your English class. Tracks, which I believe is an Australian co-production, maybe with America. This stars Adam Driver and Mia Wasikowska. This could be, yeah, an uplifting drama movie. I believe it's about people travelling on camels. Sweet Country, really good Australian sort of Western drama, some might say thriller, directed by Warwick Thornton, one of the great Indigenous Australian directors. I really enjoyed this. I've only seen it once, but I need to see it again. It's about an Aboriginal man brought on trial for a crime he didn't commit. It's quite bleak, but it's very compelling Australian Western set film. Sweet As, another Aboriginal related movie. I don't know a lot about this. Came out just a few years ago, so I look forward to checking this out. It's about children, you know, growing up in Australia. Balibo, another Australian co-production with Indonesia about some, I think, journalists going to East Timor during when Indonesia wants to invade East Timor. So it's sort of a period piece of not all that long ago. We'll see what this is like. It has Anthony LaPaglia and Oscar Isaac, two great actors. Gold with Matthew McConaughey. This is about a man trying to make it big and get rich by mining and digging gold in Indonesia, I believe. So it's set largely in Indonesia. More of an American film though, I think, but this could be quite good. Romulus, My Father, movie I don't know a lot about, another Australian, this is a period piece with Eric Bana, directed by Richard Roxburgh, interestingly, so I look forward. The Motorcycle Diaries, another Australian co-production with South America. This is about a young Che Guevara who travels across many South American countries via motorcycles, so this could be a good interesting travel road type drama movie. Going with some more Australian stuff here, we have Japanese Story with Toni Collette. I don't know a lot about it, but hopefully it's an emotional drama. But this is actually a DVD double pack with, and I've never seen a DVD sort of present it like this. You just flip it over. It has the other poster, the whole poster for the other movie, which is Master and Commander, starring Russell Crowe, which is about maritime war on the open oceans, directed by Peter Weir. And I believe it's pretty accurate historically as to how the ship's and period setting was back then. The Last Face, directed by Sean Penn with Charlize Theron and Javier Bardem. This is set in war-torn Liberia, and it's about two American, I think, doctors who fall in love together while dealing with a war in Liberia. Only the Brave, which is about firefighters saving people from natural disaster bushfires, like out of control really dangerous bushfires. And we're sort of been going through some dramas that are about like the first responders responding to like disastrous events such as war or natural disaster, in this case bushfires. But Only the Brave, really good cast from the director of Top Gun Maverick too, so it could be good. World Trade Center, Oliver Stone directed film with Nicolas Cage. This is about the 9/11 disaster and the first responders there. Deepwater Horizon, directed by Peter Berg. This is about an ocean oil drill crisis when it explodes, and it's sort of a man-made disaster and the people trying to survive it. I remember there being some pretty intense scenes of people drowning in oil or fires or other just sort of, yeah, man-made disastrous effects of that. This has Mark Wahlberg. Stronger, which is about the Boston Marathon bombing and a competitor in the marathon who loses the ability to walk due to the bombing. And this is sort of an uplifting, sort of overcoming odds of, having injuries and disabilities. So this has Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. I know this is an Ang Lee directed movie with a pretty eclectic cast of actors in this, but from what I've heard, this is about all different things. The Iraq War, Ang Lee famously, this was during his streak of wanting to shoot films at a really, really high frame rate. There was this, Gemini Man, sort of following in Peter Jackson's footsteps for having The Hobbit being screened at 48 frames per second. So it's films that are shot in a way that makes the movement really, really smooth by having a really high frame rate. I believe this was shot at 60 FPS. Whether it looks that way on Blu-ray, I'm not sure, or which cinemas around the world when this screened showed that, but yeah, well, a sort of semi-recent Ang Lee film. The Manchurian Candidate, with Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep. This is from the director of The Silence of the Lambs. I don't know a lot about this, there's not even a blurb on here, but I know it's a dramatic thriller. An Officer and a Gentleman. This is about a Navy pilot, I believe, and this sort of might kick off a few dramas set during world wars, whether it's modern wars or World War I, World War II, that kind of thing. Not necessarily violent thrillers, but more dramas about the people in them. This has Richard Gere. I believe he's going through Navy training in this film and just dealing with a few personal challenges along the way. Brothers, this is a really good film about returning back from the war and having PTSD in the wake of Iraq. And I watched this with Bianca not too long ago, and I thought this was really good. This is Jake Gyllenhaal, Natalie Portman, Tobey Maguire in this. I thought this was a good emotional drama movie about the effects of PTSD. Stop Loss, I saw this a long, long time ago from the director of Boys Don't Cry, which is a really full-on movie. I think I talked about it in a previous video. But this is also about soldiers, young soldiers returning home from war in sort of the Iraq war setting, I believe. And this is sort of, yeah, these soldiers returning to a quite small town, kind of American lifestyle, and trying to just become re-familiarized with that. Kundun, one of the lesser known Martin Scorsese movies. I believe I watched this, maybe I haven't seen this. I might be getting it mixed up with Gandhi, but it's about a very young Dalai Lama, I believe, as a child. So I might have to rewatch this because this is one of the rare instances. I'm not even 100% sure if I've seen this, but I think I might have. It's about the Dalai Lama as a child. This sort of kicks off a string of biopics too, dramatic biopics. The Aviator, this is another Martin Scorsese, Howard Hughes biopic, the man who sort of invented and pioneered not the very first planes, because that goes to the Wright brothers back in the 30s, I believe, but maybe planes more designed for war. And this has Leonardo DiCaprio. His character has OCD, so it's just about his life dealing with his mental illness and romances with Cate Blanchett, who plays Katharine Hepburn in this, I believe. J. Edgar, next, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, biopic about J. Edgar Hoover, the founder of the FBI. This is directed by Clint Eastwood. Oppenheimer, obviously a hugely known epic from a couple of years ago about J. Robert Oppenheimer, the inventor of the nuclear bomb. And again, this movie has a huge stacked cast of famous actors, but you have Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan. This was a good biopic for Christopher Nolan. I'm not the biggest fan of his because I find his movie's quite unemotional and more focused on the technicals, which I'm more about character, story. He's into like the tech, the science, the sci-fi, the mechanics, but Oppenheimer was pretty good. Then we have Jobs, a Steve Jobs biopic, one of two Steve Jobs biopics. It was this and Steve Jobs, directed by Danny Boyle, which came out a couple of years after this, but this has Ashton Kutcher as a bit of a younger Steve Jobs, just inventing Apple and, yeah, maybe bringing himself forward in the Silicon Valley era of America, where everyone's trying to invent the latest tech trend. This is supposedly the lesser of the Steve Jobs movies, but when I watched this Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, to be honest. Maybe I should rewatch it one day, but we'll see what this is like. The Social Network, Mark Zuckerberg, the inventor of Facebook. This is, David Fincher directed, Jesse Eisenberg, great movie. It's one of those movies where every time I watch it, I seem to like it just a tiny little bit more. The dialogue's really sharp. It's a very interesting look at, the tech and social media advancements of the era it came out in. The Apprentice, really good, very recent movie, biopic of Donald Trump, where Sebastian Stan plays Donald Trump, which is really odd casting, but he's incredible in it, as is Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn. This is just a good biopic, weird characters, just weird billionaires and their odd behavior and public image. But yeah, The Apprentice is a good, works as both a dark comedy and just a good biopic that's quite interesting. Hoffa, which is about Jimmy Hoffa, who was a union leader back in, I believe, the 60s maybe, but he mysteriously disappeared because it's pretty obvious nowadays, I think, but he was murdered by gangsters. This is also seen in Martin Scorsese's recent movie, The Irishman. But this has Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito. It's directed by Danny DeVito. Not the only movie he's directed. He's directed a few interesting movies here and there. Snowden, an Oliver Stone directed movie about Edward Snowden, who uncovered that the CIA has been spying and listening and gathering all our intel and information and identification. I think the story of this is he just sort of left it, made it public, didn't preach anything necessarily, just made it public that the CIA are spying on us. And this has Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Edward Snowden. Interesting supporting cast here too. I remember really liking this. It's quite stylized. It's another tech drama, sort of told as a thriller, but definitely a drama. Molly's Game, which is a really great movie about high-stakes gambling. This has Jessica Chastain. It's, I think, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, and it's about, really, I think she goes from being a Winter Olympic athlete to owning a string of casino chains, and this has some really high-stakes sort of gambling scenes, really sharp dialogue. Like, it's Aaron Sorkin, so people are going to be having a lot of arguments and discussions that are incredibly snappy and witty and clever. But this is a fun movie, Molly's Game. House of Gucci, a sort of more recent Ridley Scott movie. That's one of his more recent movies that got pretty shat upon critically, but I actually liked this movie. I saw this in cinemas with my mum and my auntie, and this is just a pretty good movie. Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, another great supporting cast about the Gucci family empire and a bit of corruption, a bit of seediness that goes on within. I actually liked House of Gucci. I would recommend it. Capone, which is an Al Capone biopic set in his very later years where he's dying of syphilis and really losing his mind. And this is a psychological drama thriller about, this rich gangster just at the end of his rope. He's in his mansion, but he's just mentally and physically falling apart. And this is during the time, or maybe after, of Al Capone getting done and only done for tax evasion, even though he was a violent, murderous criminal. This is directed by Josh Trank, this is after his sort of disaster with making a Fantastic Four reboot. It's that Fant4stic movie with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. An interesting career he's had. He broke out with Chronicle, which is a great, dark superhero found footage movie. to then, yeah, just dropped with Fantastic. Then he came back with Capone, and this didn't get great reviews, but I thought it was actually really interesting. Tom Hardy's pretty good. The directing style of it, like the weird sort of hallucinogenic nightmare scenes he has of him losing his mind, like there's elements of this movie that are really well captured. Capone, I actually quite liked it. Capote, saw this a long time ago, a biopic of Truman Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Truman Capote was a poet back in the 50s, so immediately this might sound a bit boring, but I remember it being a stylish movie with a great central lead performance, really odd, interesting character. Yeah, this is from the director of Foxcatcher, which is a sports wrestling movie, but like a dark psychological movie all the same, and yeah, Capote's pretty good. Jackie, this is the biopic of Jackie Onassis right during the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and how she deals with that, being in the car as it goes under the bridge for John F. Kennedy to then be sniped by Lee Harvey Oswald. It's about the psychological repercussions of that. This is Natalie Portman playing Jackie Onassis, and I remember this also being an interesting character study. Spencer, this is from the director of Jackie, and it covers similar themes and subject matter. This is Princess Diana, played by Kristen Stewart. Shortly before being also driving into a tunnel and being involved in a fateful car crash, but this is her psychological state before that. People have actually described this as being more like a horror movie of losing one's mind and slowly just going insane, being sort of suffocated by the world around you, so to speak. So this should be interesting. I haven't seen it. I look forward to it. Priscilla, which is the story of Priscilla Presley during the meeting of Elvis Presley, the much older, iconic rock and roll legend. This is directed by Sofia Coppola. She's an interesting psychological director, gets right down into the depths of character. And Priscilla, in this, Jacob Elordi plays Elvis and Kaylee Spaney plays Priscilla, and she is excellent in this. This is just a good movie about sort of being forgotten about if you're married or involved with an iconic legend. That's how I took it anyway. And about like the dark side of an iconic legend maybe not being as great as we all see through the eyes of somebody else. And Priscilla was pretty good. Judy, the Judy Garland biopic, who is an actress from way back when, The Wizard of Oz, some other famous musical films. She was famously treated horribly throughout her career, forced to be on drugs to sort of keep her awake and keep her like how the producers wanted her to be. She was not allowed to sleep. She was denied certain things. The producers and people in Hollywood just really wanted Judy Garland to stay young forever, and it's a really toxic thing that she was sort of put through. She had a really difficult life. Just look up stories of The Wizard of Oz. That is a movie with some really fucked up, so many messed up stories behind the scenes of The Wizard of Oz, a lot of which involving the treatment of Judy Garland. But this has Renee Zellweger. It's during Judy's later years, her final years, before she died way too young. Frida, which is about a famous Mexican visual artist, a painter called Frida Kahlo, who, and this has Salma Hayek as Frida Kahlo. It's about just a biopic of her life, her affairs, and this could be pretty good. I'm not familiar with her work, but I've heard good things about this movie, and Salma Hayek can be a really great actress. Chaplin, the Charlie Chaplin biopic with Robert Downey Jr., and this looks like an interesting, different type of role for Robert Downey Jr., where he's not playing the Iron Man character and whatnot, where he, a lot of his sort of roles from Iron Man onwards, he was playing Iron Man similar sorts of characters. This is him playing the great silent film star and funny man, Charlie Chaplin. So I look forward to checking this out. Charlie Chaplin, him and Buster Keaton were incredible, like, sort of stunt performers too, and really funny people. Trumbo, which is about a famous screenwriter, Dalton Trumbo, during an era of Hollywood where a lot of screenwriters were blacklisted. And I heard pretty good things about this. I love Bryan Cranston. Big Eyes, which is a really great Tim Burton movie that's a bit different to his usual sort of gothic fairy tale kind of romance movies. This is about a painter called Margaret Keane, whose husband, during a really sexist time, in this played by Christoph Waltz, demands to have all the credit for all of her work so that her paintings will sell, so that people know that a man did it, because they both are convinced, or at least Christoph Waltz convinces Margaret Keane, played by Amy Adams, that her paintings will only sell if the public knows they're done by a man. So this is a story of sexism, and this is just a really good dramatic movie from Tim Burton. Check out Big Eyes if you haven't seen it, it's great. The Theory of Everything, the Stephen Hawking biopic with Eddie Redmayne. I think he won Best Actor in like 2014 for this. I remember this being a good romance movie, if nothing else. It's during the time right before Stephen Hawking develops motor neuron disease. So it's him up and about as a college young man, just excelling at science, and Felicity Jones is in this, and it's more of a romance story than a science movie. My Week with Marilyn, with Michelle Williams as Marilyn Monroe. I don't know heaps about this movie, but it could be good. I saw the other Marilyn Monroe biopic, Blonde, with Ana de Armas, and that was a heavy movie. Really artistically interesting though. Great score by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. Really good filmmaking in Blonde, and great music, but it is really harrowing, really dark, twisted, sick, but impactful. So we'll see what My Week with Marilyn is like. This also has Eddie Redmayne. Don't know a whole lot else about it. Me and Orson Welles, an Orson Welles biopic, this time directed by Richard Linklater. This could be good. I'm a huge fan of Citizen Kane. That's like one of my favourite movies, so I don't think seen any other Orson Welles movie, but this is made sort of in semi-recent years, maybe about 15 or 20 years ago now, but set during, Orson Welles grew up in the 30s and got into filmmaking very young in the 1940s, and so this is the story of him. Then we have the classic film that Orson Welles is most known for. It's Citizen Kane. This is a masterpiece. A lot of people have the wrong impression that this might be a boring movie, the ones who haven't seen it, but it's actually a really fast-paced, interesting movie about a newspaper tycoon. There's even a great documentary about this movie, because the newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst? William Randolph Hearst or William Randolph Hearst? I'm not too sure which one, but he saw Citizen Kane as like a negative biopic about him, and he sued Orson Welles, and all this legal litigious stuff happened shortly after Citizen Kane came out in 1941, but this is a super interesting film, pioneered film techniques that sort of have never been done before, and even when you watch it, you're like, well, they haven't really been done since, and it's still, it's just so impressive to see it done like that, you know? Like, to see a film with certain shots that are just, like, incredibly classic, and you've seen them in sort of famous documentaries and things like that, and even watching it for the first time in this film, this is an impressive film. Check out Citizen Kane if you've never seen it. And leading on from Citizen Kane, we have 12 Angry Men, came out just shortly after. This is about a jury of people who need to come to a unanimous vote to either incarcerate or set free a black man who I believe is accused of raping and murdering a 12-year-old girl. And the whole jury, all like 11 people, think he did it. But then one person, played by Henry Fonda, thinks he didn't do it. So it's about a room full of 12 angry men arguing about this criminal on trial who maybe did or maybe didn't do what he's accused of doing. This is one of the most mature movies, amazingly acted. The screenplay is incredible. It came out in the 50s, but it feels just so relevant to this day, like in terms of its ethics and its morals. This is a really great film. Then we have a movie pack of 10 movies, which I got this DVD for free, believe it or not, from a market fair, but some of the movies are movies I've either mentioned or will mention. There is Zulu here. There's The Day of the Triffids, which is, I believe, a horror film from the 1950s. There's some Alfred Hitchcock movies, The 39 Steps, The Man with the Golden Arm. They're Alfred Hitchcock thrillers. I haven't seen them. I don't know a lot about them. There's A Farewell to Arms, which I believe is World War I or Civil War set movie, also really old. There's all incredibly old films on this pack here. We have Charade, another Alfred Hitchcock movie, which I saw was recommended to me by a very good friend. We watched it together. Yeah, it was good. Little Shop of Horrors, not the one from the 80s, not the musical comedy from the 80s with Rick Moranis, but a Jack Nicholson earlier one. So I don't know if that is more of a horror, less of a comedy, or less of a musical. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. The Fast and the Furious, which there is a 1950s film titled The Fast and the Furious, which the 2001 movie with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel isn't a direct remake of, but they are both pretty much about the same thing. But people, anyway, it is a car chase movie from the 50s, also called The Fast and the Furious. It's almost a bit of a great big Hollywood coincidence, if you will. We have here a movie called The Hideaways and To Kill a Mockingbird, which I've got 2 copies of. Some of these movies I have 2 copies of. I have another copy of Zulu in the war thriller section, which we'll get to in another video. But To Kill a Mockingbird I have as its own copy as well. This is a fantastic film. I read the book in high school, I believe, but this is Gregory Peck just trying to teach his daughter the way, like the good ways of the world. It's similar to 12 Angry Men in a way, in that he's a lawyer who has this black man on trial for a crime he maybe did or didn't do, but it's more about the lawyer just teaching his daughter the ways of, yeah, the law and good morals. And this is just a great mature drama film. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, another mature drama film about a guy in a psychiatric ward, based on a book. This is Jack Nicholson, amazing acting, really just good story of a guy and a group of sort of psychiatric ward patients trying to escape this mental institution, where Nurse Ratched, played by let me look that up, Louise Fletcher. Yeah, Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched, who's this, totalitarian dictator of a nurse in this psychiatric ward. It's just a good battle of wits sort of drama movie. Then we have Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman. I don't remember heaps about this. It's a sort of jail prison movie, but not as dark and depressing as what that might entail. There's a famous scene of him eating many hard-boiled eggs. Then another double feature, we have Chinatown and the Two Jakes. Arguably could be thrillers rather than dramas, but Chinatown's great. It's a very neo-noirish movie, really complicated plot. It's about a dam being built in a town, and Jack Nicholson trying to uncover a conspiracy involving infidelity and the like. Then Jack Nicholson went on to direct The Two Jakes many years later, and I remember it being okay, but not great, and I can't actually remember very much in the way of the plot. But Chinatown, would recommend. Then the final movie, which could also be a coin flip, possibly of a drama or thriller, The Sting. I haven't seen this, I don't know much about it. Early Robert Redford and Paul Newman roles. It's about gambling, I believe, high stakes poker. But we'll see what this is like. I think it's about conning. It probably, has like a complicated plot. It's about double-crossing each other. But I've heard great things, so we shall see. And that will conclude all drama movies in my collection. That's 4 long videos of just dramas. And believe it or not, I have even more comedies than dramas. So when we get down to comedies, there'll be even more than this. But next up, we will have thrillers in the next video. I can't mention any of the thrillers that could be the beginning of the thriller genre. Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see. So be sure to tune in to the next video. That's going to conclude dramas. So I'll see you later.